My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. We can't stop singing that. And I wish we could because I think everyone wishes they could. And I was just talking to producer Courtney and I was like, do you get the same TikTok cue as me? And she was like, probably, because that song never leaves my fucking head. And I was like, okay. So we are in my New York apartment. Last episode, maybe a couple episodes back, we talked about furniture. We talked about how I just love buying new furniture and I should really just stick with some of the same stuff. And I'll tell you what I will not be sticking with. This inflatable chair. Can you see it in the shot? I mean, it is literally, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is a treat. I'm pretty sure it was for camping. I ordered it off Amazon and I will not link it. I will not be associated with this chair ever again. We used a foot pump to pump it up. And that's all I'll say about this piece of furniture, but it is allowing me to sit and speak to you guys right now. I'm like really happy to be here. This is like the first time I finally stayed in New York for longer than like 4 days and then left. A lot of people are always like, wait, why do you go to New York and then not stay there long enough? And I just have had so many, obviously the LA trips and then random things back in Nashville, and then having to move to Nashville and be there when furniture gets delivered because I can't just keep asking Taylor and Mike to keep picking up literally all of my things for my house. So this was the first time that I had some stuff to do, and I'll kind of break down like what I've done this past week, but there was a solid 4 days where I technically, like, of course I'm always working because I'm so hardworking, but like other than like recording ads or doing stuff like that, there was definitely a 4 day period where I wasn't doing anything but just like trying to get to know my neighborhood and like walking around. And yeah, it's been great. I got a lot of my furniture delivered, although I still do not have a couch or chairs, which is something that I need to get. But let's talk about when I first got here. Okay, so I actually came in on Cinco de Mayo. It's my holiday, and it's my dad's birthday too, which is crazy. But I came in because Claudia Oshry, who does the Morning Toast, Toaster Strudels for Life over here, she was having her Not Like Other Girls tour ending at the Madison Square fucking Garden, which is just like iconic. And so I talk about this a little bit in the last podcast with Cass, like, how funny. I cannot believe, like, she is so hilarious to me. She needs her own like medium of podcast of something, because whenever we left, she like kept telling me more stories, and I was like, Cass, save them for the podcast. I'm gonna have you back on. Like, these are too good. Like, don't tell me anything else. And she's like, okay. So I think she's gonna have to just be like a New York staple whenever I'm here, because the stories were never ending, and I loved every second of it. I just loved how like honest she was. Like, she knew how she sounded, and she's just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, I can tell you actually don't give a fuck. So I love that. And I know I kind of talked about like my weekend. So I went to Claudia's show, which was incredible. And then I went to her little sister, Margot. She had a birthday party. But I think where we left off, and this is going to be like a 2-part story, okay? Because within this story, we're going to go back to the Dutch Boys. Within this story of Dutch Boys comes the story that I not even teased, but I just like bitched about on my Instagram. But then I was like, I'll save this for the podcast. The story of moving. So we will tell the Dutch Boys story and then pause and include the moving story, because it was the most hellacious experience. And I could not possibly, I could not recommend the moving company Pods less. Okay. And it's funny because producer Courtney was like, I was glancing through your stories and you like posted like, I could not recommend the Pod people less. And she goes, oh my gosh. And I was like, oh, the moving company. I'm like, no, Courtney, not you. You're great. This has also been so fun. We had Courtney come from Nashville and she's filming, and it's just like a little bit of Nashville in New York. So yes. So let's go back to Margot's birthday party night. It's Saturday. I am dressed in glitz and glam. We're resetting the scene for you guys, because that's what I looked like, just kind of absurd. And I meet the Dutch boy. He was like, I was trying to go back to my table with my friends. I was like, I gotta go back to the table with my friends. He was like, no. And then you know what he did, which was like kind of honestly sly move. He was like, here, let me hold your phone. And I was like, okay. I don't know why. At the time, it made more sense. Also, I don't have a mic stand, so I'm just like, my hands are already getting so sweaty holding this mic. They're just like slipping and sliding and slithering down. Okay, so he's like, let me hold your phone. And I was like, okay. And it's like I knew what he was doing, but I was also like, okay, you can, whatever. I would definitely come back if he had my phone. So he goes, yeah, be right back. So I go back over to the other table, and of course all my friends are like, bitch, where'd you go? And I was like, look at that tall drink of water over there, that guy. And they're like, cool, but yeah, hang out with us. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like hanging out with them, and then like I don't know, like 10 minutes goes by and I'm like, okay, but like, he has my phone. So they're like, why does he have your phone? I was like, oh no. I was like trying to pretend to be drunker than I was because I really was not that drunk. I was like, I don't know. He has my phone. It's so crazy. I gotta go get it back from him. They're like, no, just tell him to come over here. Basically, what Cass comes over because remember she wasn't at the same table as us. She was in her grind line with the other with Dutch boy number 1. So she comes over to me and she goes, hey, I go, hey, I'm coming in 1 second. She goes, he has your phone. And I was like, no, I know. So I go, I gotta go. I'll be right back. She knew I wasn't gonna be right back. I knew I wasn't gonna be right back. I was not coming back. Grabbing my coat and like my purse. And they're like, bitch, I'll be like, I'll be right back. So I go and he's like, I have your phone. I'm like, I know you have my phone. So then he was like, I don't even feel like drinking anymore. I was like, I don't feel like drinking anymore. And then he was like, maybe he was being nice. Maybe he was making sure he wasn't taking home a drunk girl. I don't know. But then again, I don't act drunk when I am drunk. So who could be too sure? But I was like, yeah, no, I don't really feel like drinking. And he goes, want to get a drink? And I was like, what? I literally just said I don't feel like drinking. And then I realized he was like, no, want to go get a drink? And I was like, what? And then I was like, oh. And he looked at me, he goes, Shannon, so we can go. So we can like go tell them we're getting a drink, but then we'll just leave. And I was like, oh, yes, I want to do that. And he's like, okay, cool. So just another to set the scene. It's pouring rain. It's not drizzling. It's not sprinkling. It's pouring rain. All of us, like I had actually a coat on that had a hood that I was like wearing for most of the night, but I'm not gonna wear a hood when I'm like walking home with the boy. I'm not gonna like flip my hood up. And so he was gonna call a car because I was like, oh, where do you live? And he was like vaguely pointed somewhere. And then I told him where I lived and his was way closer. And I was like, oh, let's just go back to your place. And he's like, no, it's a mess. Like, let's just go back to your place. And I was like, okay, here's entering this part. I waited until we were like just close enough to my house to tell him this. And I go, hey, I have to tell you something. And he was like, what? And I go, I don't know. I feel like he thought I was going to say like, oh, my period or something. But I was like, I have to tell you something, but you can't be mad. And he was like, okay. I was like, my movers come at 7:30 in the morning, but we're already really close to my house. So AKA I was also like, this man's not going to stay the night. Like, no. Okay. We're going to just like smoochy and then you go home. Like men do. They don't want to stay. And so he goes, oh, that's okay. And I was like, okay, but just so you know. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, okay. It's pouring rain and he was going to get a car. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just walk. Why did I say that? He literally offered to get a car. And I was like, oh, I'm so close. I was like, I'm trying to be so New York. I'm like, we can just walk. It's so close. It's 15 minutes. He's like, are you sure? It's raining. I'm in like slip-on rhinestone Prada kitten heels. Okay, just think about that, which the lining are totally coming out of them now and they just look ratchet. And a glitz and glam dress and a full-length white with a fur-trimmed hood jacket. Okay, so that was what I was wearing as I was like, yeah, let's just walk back. I'm so New York. And so we do. And then as we're walking back, my like, this is the one hairstyle that I have. I just don't really have another one. This is what we do. It flips out at the ends. She is who she is, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what my hair looked like that night as well. I've really got to figure something else out, right? But then it's kind of like, well, that's my thing. But then it's like, figure something else out. I don't know. We'll do some trial and error on some next episodes. But I was like, I just could feel my hair just because I don't naturally have this straight of hair. Like my hair definitely has like some wave and frizz to it for sure, especially when it's just getting pounded by rainwater and wind and pollution. Ooh, and we saw a rat scurry across and I was like, ugh, those things are the size of fucking dogs. And he was like, you don't see him very often? Why am I trying to do the accent? That's not his accent. Fuck. Okay, he's Dutch. Just Google a Dutch accent. And it was thick. It was a thick accent. So honestly, it made him way hotter. So he goes, and also, as Cass said, he was like 6'6", like model boy. So I almost just said some other characteristics and I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. And so anyway, so we get back to my place. There's no furniture other than a bed and a TV. And I say that I'm like, oh, I don't really have all my furniture gets delivered tomorrow. So there's just literally a bed and a TV. And he was like, what else do we need? And I was like, good point. So anyways, we are just like messing around, fooling around, whatever. Oh, nope. This is important. This is an important thing. So I guess Cass, he had said when we lost each other in the basement dark place that no one can find and you lose all cell service immediately, he had said like, what's her Instagram? Or maybe like, I don't think he asked her for my number. He was like, what's her Instagram in case like we can't find her again? And Cass gave him my Instagram. And so whenever we had met back up again in the basement dark scary place, he said like, Cass told me you had a podcast. And I was like, oh, I do. That was nice of her to tell you that. Sure. Yeah, that's what I do. And he was like, oh, cool. What's it about? And I don't know. He asked me like a couple questions about it. Enter us coming back to the house, the apartment, and he's like, oh yeah, your Instagram. It was like the last thing that was pulled up on his phone. He's like, now I have service. I can look at it. And I go, oh, we don't have to do that. I'm like trying to make out with him. So he just like stops looking at my Instagram. I'm like, I don't have to do that. You guys, do you want to know I mean, like, I can't make this shit up. He literally clicks. He clicks the very first thing. Not even a photo. He didn't go to my podcast Instagram. He went to my Instagram, which of course I share podcast videos on. But like, you know, there's a lot of other stuff on there. And the first thing he clicks on is the video that goes, if you're funny, I'll fuck you. And I go, oh, no. And he was like, I cannot make, like, his face, like, you could just tell it wasn't like he was disgusted. It wasn't like he was gross. You could just tell he was like, oh, oh, okay. Like, I mean, listen, we had already come back to my apartment. I didn't think he thought I was like a Virgin Mary or anything, but I was just like, oh, that's just a joke. And he goes, oh, really? And here's the thing. Here's the problem. I think he then thought he's funny. I'm here to tell you, hot, sexy, tall. Not funny. Just not a funny guy. Maybe I should get to know him a little bit more. Not a funny guy that I saw. So I was like, oh, no. I was like, this is my podcast. Like, it's just a joke. And here's the thing. I don't want to give this whole shtick where I'm like, who I am on my podcast and who I am on Instagram is a completely different persona than my whole life. Like, that's not true. I am literally, if you met me and spent time with me, you'd be like, that's crazy. She really is exactly like she is on the podcast. Producer Courtney, I'm the same person, right? She's nodding yes. Same bitch. So I was like, I don't know why I was just embarrassed enough because I don't know, the guy that I'm coming home with literally just opened a video where I was like, if you're funny, I'll fuck you. So I was like, oh, it's just like a podcast. Like, I was just being funny on the podcast. I was just you know, not just being funny. And he's like, okay. Then he's like scrolling. The very next video he clicks on was my veneer transformation. I was like, okay, give me your phone. And why are you only clicking on the videos? Give me that back. And he's like, oh, I like it. And I was like, I'm going to block you. I'm blocking. He's like, you're going to hide me from your stories now? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm blocking you 100%. Yes. Forgot to do that. And, anyways, so we do what we do. I go to sleep. I wake up at 7:30 in the morning and it's literally like a phone call, just like they said, 7:30, the movers are here. I'm like, perfect. Why is this man still here? Why is he here? He kept being like, your bed is so comfortable. First of all, it is. All right. It is. It's not one of these bad boys. It's not one of these camping inflatable chairs. It's just a very comfortable bed. Shouts out Restoration Hardware. Great bed. The sheets are Kiki Pants, which is like this company that used to be like baby onesies. And they're so soft. I just can't say enough great things about my bed. And he's not wrong. It's comfortable. But get the fuck out. Like, what? Like, you can say the night, but like when the phone call came in at 7:30, one would assume that he's like, oh, now her movers are coming. Like, I gotta go. So I like, you know, nudge him. Let's also just recall this now. Ready? Okay. I had taken a shower, a clean gal. After we did what we did, I took a shower. And I am no longer the glitz and glam gal he took home, okay? I even had winged eyeliner on that night. Listen, if you know me, I don't wear winged eyeliner. I don't really wear black eyeliner at all. So I was just like really looking she was giving Met Gala, okay? And when I woke up the next morning, I was giving wet dog. And so I was kind of like, he didn't really open his eyes. I was just like, he'll just skedaddle out of here, I'm sure. So I was like, hey, the moves are here. I like get dressed. I put on like sweats and like put my moppy wet hair up in a like bun of some sort. And I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go downstairs, you know? And it's actually funny because the night before he had said like, I'll help you with the move. And I was like, the last thing I want is you helping me. No. And I was just like, okay. And so I go downstairs and I meet the mover. Gosh, what was his name? Bert. How did I forget his name? He's an icon. Bert, I think was his name. He's like about as New York or Boston, I don't know, as it fucking gets, right? So he's like, hey, your pod's here. I'm moving it. And I'm trying to find a spot on your street. There's no spots on your street. There's no spots on your street. And I also need to remind you guys, literally, it was pouring rain for 4 days in New York, and it was a Saturday. I tried so hard to ask these pods people. I was like, one, can I get an afternoon drop-off? I do not want a 7:30 drop-off. They were like, no. I was like, okay. They're like, oh, we only do drop-offs in the morning. I was like, okay. Two, I was like, Saturday, 7:30 a.m. That feels tough. They were like, yeah, only day we can do it is Saturday. We cannot do that Monday. I was like, why? They're like, we just can't. I'm like, okay. So I knew my fate coming into this. I knew I'd be hungover when I did it, and I just didn't really care. But anyways, I get this. Also, this apartment is so small, we have to turn the AC off I'm really powering through this story because we have to turn the AC off so it's not very, very loud in this small apartment while we're filming. And the pits they're sweating. I'm sweating in these sequins, baby. I go downstairs. He's like, there's no spots on the street. It's pouring rain. He's so nice. The only good experience I had with this pod situation was him. Here's the thing. He doesn't work for pods. He just drives the truck that the pod was on. So he's third party. Okay. Bert, not a pod guy. So he's like, I can't find a place to drop the pod. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? He's like, I can park it across the street, but your movers are going to have to move a lot of stuff across the street. And I was like, shoot, well, I hate that for him, but I don't know what to do. There's no other option. I said, you want to wait like 15 minutes and just kind of see me? I'm like, I need 15 minutes for this Dutch boy to get out of my room too. So I'm like, you want to just like see if something clears up out of the street that you can like park on? And he goes, yeah. We'll wait a second. 15 minutes goes by, nothing. I'm like, okay, park across the street. Here's another thing about the pod that I'm just real sprightly about. I don't think that's the right word either. Fuck, I never use the right words. I think sprightly means like happy and good. Okay, I'm just real pissed off about this part. They made me get the largest size pod, and I had like enough stuff to move in like literally the back of someone's actual pickup truck. And they made me get a pod that was big enough to move like 4 bedrooms. So when the guy opens the pod, he's like, well, why the hell did you get this big pod? And I was like, I say, Bert, that's a great question. I would love to know the answer. They told me because I was crossing state lines that I had to get the largest pod. He's like, oh, no, ma'am. They sold you the Brooklyn Bridge, lady. They didn't. No, that's not true. And I was like, well, I will definitely be calling them and letting them know that because, obviously it was like literally thousands of dollars more to get the largest size pod because it is big enough to move like an entire home cross country. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be speaking to them about that. I'll get Shannon Ford on them real quick. So I was like, shouts out to mom. She does it politely and kindly, but firmly. And she usually does get her way. So I'm like, all right, Bert. He's like, well, good news is you movers, they don't have, at least they don't have much to move across the street. I was like, that's true. There's not much in here. Waiting. I'm just kind of looking at him. He's like, hey, get out of the rain. I'm like, okay. I go underneath the overpass or like, the awning. And I was like, kind of just waiting because I hired the movers through pod, And so I was like, they asked me like, will you need movers to help you unpack this? Here's what their hourly rate is. Here's when they'll show up. Here's what you have to use them for. I was like, it'll take them probably like 30 minutes. There's not that much stuff, but yeah, I'll pay the hourly rate, 2-hour minimum. I'm like, cool. So anyways, I'm just looking at Bert. Bert's looking at me and he finally goes, well, where are you movers? And I was like, well, Bert, where are they? I don't know. Where are the movers? And he's like, you have to hire the movers. And I was like, I did hire the movers, Bert. I hired them through you guys. And he was like, no record. I'm like, I got a fucking record. I pulled up the receipt. He's like, oh no. He's like, they no-showed. I'm like, they no-showed in the pouring rain. He looks at me, this sweet, sweet man looks at me and he goes, what are you going to do? Me. I'm thinking technically I could go wake up this stranger in my bed and be like, hey, strap on your fucking boots, baby. We're moving. But I also, for some reason, I was just like, I cannot. And I do not want, it's not that I was embarrassed about what I looked like, but I was just like, I cannot. I look so incredibly different from what I looked like last night. I want to say bye, kiss him on the cheek, and then him leave. I don't need him like looking at me sweating, moving all this stuff. Also, I don't want to move all this shit in the pouring rain. And I look at him and I go, I don't know what to do. And he's like, I got daughters. I would hate to see this happen to them. I'm going to help you move this stuff. It's not a lot. We can double team it. And I said, really? He was like, nah, it's not, it's not legal for me to touch this stuff. So you can't say I did. Fuck. Is it? Probably shouldn't say you did. So I was like, you really don't mind? He's like, oh, I don't mind. So he goes and he and I in the pouring rain, move every single piece of furniture, literally into the elevator and up to the floor I live on, which I'm not going to say, but it's like not, obviously it's an elevator, but it's just like, it's a journey to get, it's an apartment. Like if you move into any apartment, it's just like way trickier than moving into a house. So I'm like doing all this. I quickly realized that if Bert finds out that there is a man, a very tall, strong man in my apartment, he's going to be like, why the fuck is he not helping us? And so I was like, oh. And so I was like, 1 second, Bert, let me go make sure my door's, let me make sure I can like prop my door open right. He's like, okay. I run upstairs. I open the door. Dutch boy's still in there. I'm like, hey, so the movers no-showed. Thinking he's going to be like, what? Oh my God. He's like, this bed is so comfortable. I'm like, get out. And I was like, okay. I go, okay, well, if you're gonna, you just like can't leave while we're doing this. It's probably gonna be the next like hour. But I was like, you can't come out because like you just stay in here and sleep, okay? Because at this point I'm like, there's no exit strategy. He's like very okay with the concept, okay? I'm like, cool. So he stays, and I'm like, all right. And then because I just knew that Bert would be like, is that your boyfriend? Why isn't he helping? And I'd have to explain to him, no, we were just like literally naked with each other like 6 hours ago, Bert. But like, this is not, I don't know this man like that. And so I go downstairs, I close this door because nothing had to be moved into my bedroom, luckily. So we move all the stuff. I give him every penny that was in my wallet. I actually happen to have cash because this man's not getting paid for this. And I was like, I think it was like $220 or something like that. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, can I give you a hug? He's like, you can give me a hug. And he was just the greatest guy. Like, honestly, whose ever father that is, if you're his daughter, like, you have a goat of a father. And here's what, Vic Ford would have absolutely done the same thing. So like, astonishing behavior. So then I'm like, now especially, I am literally sweating. I'm soaking wet because, keep in mind, still pouring rain this day. So running in and out, all my furniture, by the way, is like covered in some like slime film from the rain / pollution / just New York City. And I walk into the bedroom. I go into the bathroom and I'm like pinching my cheeks, like putting a little bit of like bronzer on, and like put some mascara on, like literally nothing to help my situation. And I'll go back in the bedroom. I'm also like running off adrenaline at this point. Like, I know I only got 3 hours of sleep, but I'm not tired anymore. Like, I'm not like, I could like rest. Also, there's just the Dutchman's still in my bed. And so I was like, hi, like crawl back into bed. He's like, hey, and I will give them this. He was actually very cute, very sweet. He was very like cuddly and nice. He was not just like just sleeping. Like, he was very cute and sweet. And then I basically was like, well, we got it all moved in. He's like, oh, sorry, I should have helped. I was just, this bed is so comfortable. I'm like, the bed's pretty comfy. Yep. He sleeps just for longer. He turns off 2 alarms. 2 alarms he turns off. I was like, okay. So then I'm just honestly just like scrolling on my phone, and I'm like, when is this man gonna leave my apartment? When's he gonna leave? And so it's like, I don't know, 10:30 at this point, 11. Like, he's there for a while. Maybe it's not 11. It's like 10. Okay, I'll give him some credit. He wakes up, it's 10 o'clock. He's like so apologetic. He's like, hey, he's like, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I was like, quite all right. He's like, I know, I just feel like, he's like, I've gotta study. I says, you have to study? Huh? I mean, I was like, wait, what? And I react like this to him. I literally say to him, I go, you have to study? For what? And he goes, how old did I tell you I was last night? I was like, you said you were 27? And he goes, I lied. And I go, how old are you? And he was like, I'm 24. Well, I'll be 24 in 3 weeks. He's 23. I was like, oh my God. And like, it's funny because I remembered last night thinking, maybe even saying to him, like, you look young. Like, you don't look 27. He's like, I hear that all the time. I'm like, this little fucking Dutch boy. He is now the Dutch student, by the way. That is his pseudonym. He is the Dutch student. He's like, yeah, like, I remember him telling me, like, yeah, we started drinking when we were like 16. He kind of just like laughed it off. He was like, the oldest I've ever said I was one time to a girl was 31. I was like, well, I can't believe, is this just something you do? And he was like, I'm like, are you into older women? Like, what is the deal? This is so weird. And I was like, and he was like, how old are you? Did you lie about your age last night? I was like, nope, 28. Just a solid 28. And I was embarrassed last night. Not embarrassed, but like, I'm just like not into younger guys at all. So like when he said he was 27, I was like, oh, mama's a cougar tonight. Like, I remember being like, ew, 23. I mean, I cannot. And he was like, I'm just so sorry, I gotta go. I was like, get out of my apartment. So literally, I like call Cass immediately. I'm like, how old was yours? She's like, oh, mine was older. I was like, damn it, this one was 23. And she's like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God, not the Dutch student, like studying for it was finals. That's what he said. He was like, oh, it's finals. And then I go to Miami. He was like so excited to talk about going to Miami. And I was like, cool. God, enjoy spring break. And I was like, this is so dark. And so anyways, he does leave. I get it wasn't WhatsApp, but like I get some like text from like, I don't know, it was like email address at in.l.live.com. I was like, what the fuck is this? And he was basically just like, had so much fun. Like, it was like later on in the day, had so much fun. Like, sorry. He was like, so sorry I had to run out. I was like, it's okay. He was like, which is nice. So, I mean, that's kind. He's like, but yeah, like once I finish these finals, like I'll finally be done with all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm so excited for you. I was like, crush your finals. Like I couldn't even believe I was texting the things I was texting back. I was like, crush your finals. See you around. Hopefully never. What the fuck? I was like so embarrassed. And then I go to literally one of my friends texts me. I mean, I'm just like still processing all of this stuff. And she's like going to a day party for the Kentucky Derby. She's like, come on, we're going. And I'm like, New York does not fucking stop. And you say that and people say that and you listen to it and you're like, yeah, no, I bet it's like so hustle and bustle. Motherfuckers literally don't sleep here. Like I don't sleep here. And so which is a shame because my bed is so comfortable. So I really was like, yeah, I'll go. I said, I'm going to hate my life and hate myself, but yes, I will go. So we went to this day party. It was fun. And then, yeah, I basically just really powered through and then I slept for like 10 hours the next day. And I'm not going to lie. I talked a lot of shit about the Dutch student because he continued like on my close friends, which I don't know, I have like 14 friends on my close friends on Instagram. And on my close friends, I like was talking a lot of shit about him. Like, sorry if a Dutch student somehow listening to this, but I was like sending pictures of him sleeping in my bed being like, when the fuck is this man getting out of my fucking bed? One of my friends messaged me, actually it was Claudia. She goes, Shannon, I think he's actually homeless. And I was like, nuh-uh. He pointed to his building like when we were walking back. She was like, that sounds like something a homeless person would do. Like, I live there. I was like, no. Wait, does he have an apartment? Like, I was like, wait. I don't know. Is he just traveling around lying about his age and just like sleeping in people's beds until he like wakes up to go back to the library? And then I don't know. He did shower here too. It's all a bit perplexing. Oh, and he used one of my toothbrushes. I did an ad for a toothbrush, and so I had an extra one, and I remember being like, oh, you can use this. And he was like, okay, that's convenient. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing an ad for them. And literally later on that week, he messaged me, he responded to my story and said, that toothbrush looks familiar because I posted the ad about it. And I literally messaged him back, I will post the screenshot in the YouTube. I said, damn it, I forgot to block you. Like, I really was like that. That's what I said back. And yeah, so I was posting to my close friends about it and talking a lot of shit because he like messaged me again at some point, like a picture of him leaving the library and was like, finally done. And I was like, I don't care about your finals. And then I talked a lot of shit for someone who definitely texted him at like 1 a.m. the other night and was like, what did I say? I said, still studying? So like, not the still studying booty call. Like, honestly, it's bringing back college. Nobody wanted to sleep with me in college either, so it's fine. He was so nice. He responded back and was like, hi, I'm on the way to Miami, remember? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's right. Have so much fun. Sleeping with 45-year-old women, I bet. Like, Jesus. And so, Dutch student, who knows if I'll see Dutch student again. I'll keep you guys very posted. It seems like a one-time ordeal. I also think he's going back to like Amsterdam or something. I who could be too sure. A lot of people asked about Bridgerton. Any update? Nothing really. We still FaceTime every once in a while. He basically told me I'm getting him very cock-blocked. And I did want to apologize. Did I already talk about this, Courtney? Okay. Then he did call me and I feel bad because he was like, Shannon, he's like, I know you know that people know who I am. And I was like, yes, sorry again for the not very secretive code name. But he was like, do you know that like girls will literally like be like, are you Bridgerton? And then like when you say stuff like we slept together at Stagecoach, like what if I was talking to someone? I was like, well then you shouldn't be fucking sleeping with me at Stagecoach, bitch. If you're talking to someone, he's like, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, do you think about how this might affect me at some point? And I was like, okay, yes. But I cannot tell you that I will stop talking about it. I just can't offer you that. But yeah, I am definitely like getting him cock-blocked kind of, and you guys should all sleep with him. He's great in bed. So if the opportunity arises, absolutely, totally fuck him. So I am sorry that I've just like keep talking about him publicly on the podcast, and he's like, I am not dating you, so I'm now like trying to pursue other women, and you're really coming in interference with that. And I was like, okay, sorry. This is gonna be a shorter episode, obviously, because I'm heading to Spain. So beggars can't be choosers. I really want to just like end this season with a bang, and I'm just so excited because the podcast announcement, the fun news about the podcast, is going to come with the last episode of this season, which will be probably airing in the beginning of June, right? in the beginning of July, the last episode of the season. Oh, okay. Wow. So you guys still get another month of me, shout days. So yeah, we had to stockpile these episodes because I obviously won't be recording. I wish Courtney was coming with me to Spain. She seems like someone great to travel with. But I'm joining my friend Marissa in Spain. We're going to Barcelona, then we're going to Ibiza, and then Seville. And I know all of you are going to say it's Ibiza, it's Barcelona. But like, honestly, it just doesn't roll off my tongue like that. So maybe when I come back, I'll be a cultured girly pop who says it with the TH correctly. But right now it's Ibiza. So anyways, I was trying to think of like any other updates you guys wanted, and I think a lot of people. Oh, and I lost my Prada sunglasses that I had for 24 hours. I know Courtney's probably tired of me talking about it, but like that, who does that? Like I bought them for Spain. Dumb, decided to like wear them to my podcast. I was like, this is cute, and I'm kind of hungover, and lost them from the podcast studio to the dinner that I had. So yeah, I don't know where they're at, and I literally bought them for Spain, and they were really cool. RIP, if they found them, someone found them, they can give them a better life than I probably would have. So that was just a quick moment to just bitch about. And yes, I realize how stupid that is. But a lot of people wanted an update on Funny Guy. Here's the thing. Funny Guy, we love him. He's so funny. He wants to have a hot girl summer, and I was not invited. I don't think he intends for me to be a part of the hot girl summer, and that is okay. And here's like something that I would like to discuss, because do you know what I just really appreciate? I really appreciate that like there's no like ghosting. He's not been like leading me on. He hasn't put me in a position to make me be like, wait, what the fuck is up? Like, I don't have any desire or really need to say like, what are we, or what are we doing here? Because it's like he hasn't asked to see me again. I don't know why I'm laughing at my own expense there. He hasn't asked to see me again, and we'll just like casually talk every day. Not every day. I don't know why I said that. I just lied straight to your faces. We talk often, and then sometimes, you know, we'll FaceTime for like 2 hours, and then sometimes we won't talk. But it's nice because I think he's made it very clear without like telling me to my face, which you don't always have to like sit someone down and be like, I'm not interested in you like that. I'm like, I can kind of just tell. Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere as far as dating. I think, like I said, he's just here to have his hot girl summer, and I was not invited to it. So I will not be going. I will not be attending. And he's still a very funny guy to talk to. I would still love to be friends with him, because I think that is most likely what he's interested in. Actually, I'm sure he'd fuck me again. That seems like something he would totally do. But right now, I think we're gonna have to lay. We're not killing Funny Guy. We didn't have to kill him. We're just laying him, you know, to rest. He's just going in a tomb somewhere just to relax and enjoy his life. And if he does resurface, or what's the word that I messed up the other day? Resurrect. Like, what did Jesus do on Easter? Resurrect. If we do resurrect Funny Guy, I'll let you guys know immediately. I would love it. I love him. No, and he doesn't listen to the podcast, so that's great. He can think I love him all he wants. And I'm off to Spain. And again, sorry this episode was kind of short, but one, I'm dripping sweat from like literally to my balls, from the window to the wall, straight down my balls. And I also have to get producer Courtney to the airport, and I'm going to Spain, motherfuckers, and I will have so many stories for you guys. I already told my friend Marissa, who I'm traveling with, I'm like, Marissa, we're gonna have to keep a running note of all the shit we're gonna talk about on the podcast. And she was like, oh, I already figured we would. I'm like, should I bring a baby mic and just like do like a mini episode while I'm there? Wait, you know what? I did hear someone, I don't know if producer Courtney can like overlay these somehow, but I did hear of someone like recording phone notes one time, and they like pieced it all together to make like a mini episode, which was like so chaotic, and the sound quality was terrible. But maybe I'll get just drunk enough to do that. I love you guys, and G2G.